Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's weekly live immigration attorney chat here at Immigration for Couples. I see we have a lot of people here joining us live and have already thrown questions in the comments and also comments in the comment section. So it's great to be with you all here today. So my name is attorney Megan Pastrana, and my firm is Immigration for Couples, and we are dedicated exclusively to helping couples across the nation and across the world in navigating the U.S. immigration process. So that's who we are if you are new to our firm. It's great to be with all of you, all of our regulars. I appreciate seeing all of you. Ginger, it's great to have you. So Ginger, you know the drill. For those of you, if this is your first live event, I like to start out with asking you, where are you at in your immigration journey? So you can say at the beginning, the middle, end. We have a lot of people who join us even after their process is over to provide support for others who are just embarking or in the middle of their journey. So just let me know, where are you at in your immigration journey? Where are you at in the world? And most importantly, how are you doing? Because I know that going through an immigration process, it can be all kinds of feelings all at once, and it depends on the day. So how are you doing as well? And Ginger, good morning to you. It's so great to have you back. Oh, good. I'm so glad. So I know you had, so Ginger last time, she's in the middle of her process, her immigration process. And we were talking about, or Ginger brought up rather, pets and needing to relocate with pets. There's a lot of moving parts in addition to your immigration case. And so I had actually recorded a podcast episode with a veterinarian, Dr. Gary Richter in California, who talks about moving with your pets, relocated with your pets, especially an international move and pet passports and all of that stuff. So I'm really happy to hear, Ginger, that was really helpful. And Ginger, that actually leads me to an announcement that I wanted to make as well, is that our firm, Immigration for Couples, we opened another immigration office in Clearmont, Florida. So we have offices in Carmel, Indiana, and Clearmont, Florida. And so we're really excited about that, expanding. We do help couples across the nation and world, but it gives us another office location to be closer to a lot of our clients. And so with that announcement, we do have a Google review page, and we've had a lot of people telling us, Ginger, you're one of them, that you just really appreciate all of Immigration for Couples, the free resources, the live chats. And so if you have either used our services or consulted with us, or you have used our resources, and if you would be willing to leave us a Google review, we really, really appreciate that. And so Ria will throw that review link in the comments. So if you are willing to do that, we'd really appreciate the feedback on the services or the resources that you've received from our firm. So exciting news. We're really happy about that. Okay. And Pierre, this is awesome. You were one of them that I was thinking about because you had mentioned the resources being helpful to you. And I'm so glad that you were able to call immigration. That's great. I'm so glad you were able to do that and get that address updated for the green card. Definitely keep a close eye on it. You will see on your USCIS, check your case status and in your portal, it'll let you know once that green card has been resent. Typically, they should be able to do that within a few weeks. Hopefully, they gave you some kind of estimate on the phone, but hopefully that should be coming soon. So, but keep an eye on it and call them again if you need to. So I'm glad that advice was helpful. So that's great. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Perfect. All right. So let's go through again. I like to start with, where are you at in the world? Where are you at in your immigration journey? And how are you doing? And then, of course, questions. And I will go through the questions in the order that I receive them here today. I am streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. So I will answer the questions in the order that I receive them. And Ria, I know you'll help me keep an eye on Instagram if there's any questions that pop up through there. Vicky, yes, that I'm discouraging the of adjusting status on a tourist visa. Yes, definitely. That is extremely risky territory. I won't do it. When I received my law license, I promised candor to the tribunal, which is honesty to all government entities in the court. And of course, I want to keep my license, and I want to help ensure that my clients are in compliance too. Our goal is to help you reach your immigration goals, not cause yourself more issues. And this is heartbreaking when I see individuals and couples who hear that this is the path and then get in a mess, and that they come to me and we have to help them file a waiver of forgiveness. So I definitely don't want anybody to be in that position. So thank you, Vicky. I really appreciate that feedback. All right. So it's been a long wait for you. 4 years and 4 months. That's brutal. Um, COVID backlogs, and COVID and backlogs, and who knows what else. 1 year, 4 months for actual approval. You're very welcome for the videos and the live. That's so hard. That's a long wait, but at least you have your approval. I'm not sure if you had any other details about where you're at in your immigration journey, but the waits are long and COVID definitely aggravated it. Um, Thank you. I really appreciate all the love and the feedback here in today's community. This is awesome. It's really great, especially with how difficult immigration is right now. I really appreciate all of those comments. Um, you're very welcome. And so, Hector, you are a U.S. citizen, married in Honduras in 2023. You're waiting on the I-130 to be processed. Great. Hopefully, you will have a decision soon. I'm not sure how long you are in your wait, but that's great. Betty, it's so wonderful to see you. And I hope you have a great day as well. Damien, let's see, what is your question here today? I know you've been waiting on your adjustment of status, right? And I know the work permit is what you've been really anxiously awaiting. So you're waiting on your interview, you're waiting on your work permit, 5 months, no decision. And when you call, they say that you're in the queue. Yeah. And I know we had talked about that last live. It is taking about a year right now to receive an interview for the adjustment of status. We've definitely had individuals who've received interviews in a matter of months. We've had the fastest case recently. They received an interview in 4 months. So, but on average, though, you're looking at a year. And the wait times for work permits are about 6 months. But again, immigration wait times, they can definitely be different for every person. And so some individuals have received them in a matter of months, but others it's taken closer to 6. So you're getting closer. Hopefully you have a work permit and a decision here soon. All right. So you're a U.S. citizen by birth. You're living in Canada, and you filed your I-130 a year ago. We want to move our family to the U.S. We have no idea what to do next. Well, that's great that you filed your I-130. That's the first step if you are married and if your immigrant beneficiary spouse is living abroad, an I-130 spouse petition is the very first step. I really encourage you to check out our free resource center at immigrationforcouples.com. That link is below. And I actually go through the spouse visa process, what happens, each step of the process. The petition, the National Visa Center and interview that's a 30,000-foot overview of that process. And we have a free downloadable chart as well. But you filed the first step, so that's exciting. And you're in the right community and right place. Haruna, you're in Dubai. I know you've joined us before, so it's great to have you back with us. Good morning, Lisa. Where are you at today, Lisa? You always have a fun update. I think last week you were relaxing on the couch, if I remember correctly, but it's great to have you back. Callie, oh, I love your picture with the horse. Hi, it's great to have you with us. All right. So your question is about a background check for your spouse if it's been pardoned or probably expunged, maybe is what you're asking. So for immigration, when you're going through an immigration process, part of that process involves disclosing a lot of information, including criminal history. And immigration requires you to disclose any criminal history, even if it has been expunged. I know you're saying pardoned here, and maybe you do mean that it was like dismissed, but either way, any criminal history has to be disclosed. And then you have to give information about the details of the charges and then what happened. So if there was a conviction or if it was pardoned or dismissed, all of those details have to be provided. And depending on the type of the incident itself and the type of case, typically you need to provide records, so certified records of that of those charges, and then what they call the case disposition, the outcome. So certified records of the charge, and then the certified records that it was pardoned. And if depending on the process you're going through, if you're going through a spouse visa, there is a part of the process where you have to provide police background checks as well. So it would be in addition to that. So typically, yes, you're still having to disclose all of those details to immigration. And you said all is going well, so that's great. Maria, so great to have you. Good morning to you as well. All right. You're planning on getting married to a Nigerian man, and you live in Massachusetts. All right. Well, that's exciting. You're in the right place. Checking out our free resource center, understanding what that process looks like, and the webinar and all of that is great. So, congratulations on starting on your immigration journey. Kimberly, you're in Maine. Your fiance is from Kenya. He was pre-approved at his interview. He needed additional paperwork. You submitted that on June 5th and still nothing. How long does it usually take to wait? I know no one likes to hear the response of it depends, but it does depend. It depends on what they were requesting. Typically, they'll give you some kind of estimate of time at the day of the interview, but the good thing is that you submitted everything that was requested. On average, U.S. embassies and consulates will ask for at least 60 days to be able to review everything. Typically, it only takes a matter of weeks. Sometimes it can take longer than that. And when it does, reaching back out to the embassy and asking, is there anything else you need? Can you provide a status? Can you provide an estimate on your turnaround time for providing a decision? So usually it can take anywhere from a few weeks. Sometimes it can take a few months. Hopefully it was just a quick document that they're able to review and complete the approval of your case. But either way, you can always reach back out to the embassy for an update. But good luck. I hope that you get a decision here soon, because I know when you're waiting is always the hardest part, but especially when you're at the very last step of the process. Okay. I think you mean an I-129F perhaps for the fiance visa, and this is a big question, so it covers me up. I'm like hidden. It feels a little awkward here. So I saw the 109, and I think that's what you mean. But I'm not clear because you do say your spouse. So maybe an I-130. Either way, you sent a petition, right? Is probably what you're saying. You have anxiety, hoping the marriage evidence was enough. You sent the birth certificate for your baby. Notarized affidavits, photos with the past 3 years, family and friends, nothing financial. He's not able to be on bills or anything. You own a mortgage for 14 years and you don't want to mess with that. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you have a good set of evidence that you submitted. And then Okay, and then you are saying that you need to file a provisional waiver as well, and you're wanting to know about a work permit. So it sounds like you have a much more complex process, and if you have worries and concerns, I don't know if you worked with an immigration attorney, but if you did, you should speak with him or her and make sure you understand what was submitted. Was this a solid response? And there are things that you should be doing to be proactively preparing for the provisional waiver. I see that you say that that's what you are going to need to file in the future. So yeah, and that's a common feeling after submitting your application. Was that enough documents? How long is this going to take? What if they send a request for evidence? What if they don't believe the relationship? Those are all, common feelings. It sounds like you have a strong set of evidence, so that's great. But if you don't have an attorney and you have doubts and concerns, the best way to alleviate those concerns and fears is really speaking with an expert, having them look at your application, and then working with them to prepare for the future steps in the process. So that's what we do with our clients is, sure, there are long wait times to get a decision from immigration. And there are things that we can do while we're waiting to be prepared for the next step. So proaction, practicing being proactive and being ready for the next step. So that's what we help our clients with. So if you're wanting that peace of mind, if you're wanting to have an expert look at your application, if you're wanting to have, yeah, and you said you meant an I-130. That's what I figured. But yeah, if you're wanting that expert guidance, don't hesitate, to reach out to our office. Ria would be happy from our team. Ria would be happy to get you scheduled with me. and we can meet and talk about your application and next steps and how we can help you. Otherwise, we do have our free resource center, but and the good thing is that you have your I-130 submitted, but it does sound like you have a more complex process and could benefit from having an expert guide on your journey. All right. Thank you, Ginger. We appreciate it. Goodness, I've been talking a lot this morning. Had a lot of appointments, and then my voice is getting tired already. So, Patricia, you are in California. Husband is in Nigeria. We have not started the application. You're getting frustrated. My family doesn't support. Your family doesn't support. I'm guessing the relationship, perhaps. And do we have a way to connect with other couples going through the process? So, what is it, Patricia, that's causing the frustration? Is it just the process itself, the unknown, the lack of of family support, all of the above? I mean, this is definitely a great community here. We meet every week because going through an immigration process can sometimes feel lonely and stressful and a lot of feelings all at once. That's why I always ask, "How are you doing?" And coming here every week if you're able, and being in this community, just knowing, hey, you're not alone, that can be really helpful. That's why we are doing this. And then if you're frustrated with not knowing where to begin on the immigration process or not sure on your next steps, a good thing to do would be to check out our free resource center to understand what those next steps look like. But definitely we created a community here. And so hopefully you can join us every week. And then if you need more assistance, like I said, you can have Ria help you to schedule an appointment with me. So, all right. Oh, thank you, Pierre. That's very kind of you. Referrals are the highest compliment we receive. So that means that you trust us, and so thank you for that. Yay, you're watching from the Philippines. It's great to have you with us. Terrence. So our offices are currently in Indiana and Florida, but we do have clients in DC, Maryland, Virginia area. We have clients all over the country, all over the world. We were set up with virtual capabilities even before the pandemic, so that helped a ton with that transition. But we can help you no matter where you're at in the world. And here at Immigration for Couples, we work as a team. So yes, I am the supervising attorney on all cases, and you'd be working with our amazing team. So Ria is here with me today. She's fantastic. If you call the office, you'll be speaking with her or Eric. We have Catherine and Paola. So we work as a team to help all of our clients reach their goals. But I am the supervising attorney. So yeah, and we'd be happy to work with you and speak with you. All right. So Amara, you want to marry in Bali? That would be a beautiful destination. Your fiance is a US citizen. What kind of documents do you need for a marriage registration? So, when you are getting married in another country, it's really important to check the marriage requirements in that particular country, and then also you need to check with immigration requirements through the National Visa Center to make sure that your marriage is in compliance with the local laws where you're getting married, and then also that it's a marriage that will be recognized by immigration. So you'll have to do some research on that front. And another option that a lot of couples will consider as well is the Utah virtual marriage. I have a lot of resources about the Utah virtual marriage if you want to check that out. But that's another option as well, because for a lot of countries, going through the marriage registration process and getting married in another country can be a whole nother paperwork hurdle in and of itself, even before you embark on your immigration journey. So the Utah virtual marriage has really been a great option for couples to avoid that onerous paperwork process if they're wanting to get married in another country. And we do have plenty of couples who get married in other countries by a ceremony, and we just have to ensure that it's compliant with both the local laws and rules where the marriage occurs, and then also checking the National Visa Center and making sure that that marriage is going to be accepted and recognized by immigration. So, all right. So, K1 applicant in Montreal, USCIS updated your name on your I-129F. You submitted passport, Nexus, birth certificate, baptism certificate. When can I expect a decision? You're reaching 8 months Friday. Um, so I assume that you also submitted a bunch of relationship evidence, right? Hopefully. So if you're going through the fiance visa process right now, the very first step, the petition is taking around 8 months. 8 months is an estimate. We've had people receive decisions in 4 months, and then others it takes nine. So the 8 months is an average, an estimate, and it will depend on a lot of factors. But you're sitting right there at that estimate for sure. And so hopefully you'll be receiving a decision soon. One of our amazing paralegals, Catherine, she always says, you always receive a decision when you just feel like there's just no possible way that you can wait anymore, is when the decision comes through. So hopefully that holds true and you'll get a decision here soon. Yeah. Let's see. So this is a good question. After how many days should I send an email to NVC to remind them that we are here still waiting for an update? It's been a long time, haven't heard anything. Status hasn't changed on CX since the 29th of May. So if you're going through a fiance visa process, your case will be transferred to the NVC and then to the embassy. And that's taking months right now. Unfortunately, it sounds like perhaps you're going through a spouse visa process. If you have submitted all of your documents to the CAC portal for a spouse visa, typically it should only take a few weeks to receive a decision called documentarily qualified. If you haven't received that, make sure you've uploaded all of the documents, make sure you've submitted it. If you have and you haven't received a decision, you can always make an inquiry with the National Visa Center. But definitely, definitely you can reach out to them by the inquiry portal and double check that everything has been submitted. So, Lisa, I'm sorry that you're getting over a cold. It seems that colds and COVID and all that stuff's going around again. So I hope you feel better soon. Hi there, great to have you with us. I'm so glad that the book was helpful, and I realized since you said that, I didn't mention that at the beginning. I was so excited about the office location, but the book is behind me, and then I can hold it up too. Navigating Love and Immigration. So on the very front cover, these are couples that my firm and I have had the honor to assist and guide in their immigration journey. And so in this book, you can buy it on our website, on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. In this book, we go through the options that are available to couples, how to prove your relationship, how to prepare for interviews. And then at the end of the book, there is advice and guidance from couples who've gone through the immigration process. So thank you for mentioning the book. And thank you for the support. Yes, Maria, thank you for your comment. You're very welcome. And patience definitely is a virtue. Um, yes, and we've loved being with you on your immigration journey, and we are praying for a positive update very soon as well for you. So hang in there. You're one day closer. That's what we always say. So you are in South Africa, you're feeling anxious to start the process. That is a very natural feeling. I will say that many years ago now, when my husband and I started our immigration journey, I felt that too. And the unknown, the uncertainty, it's overwhelming. And just recognizing that's okay. You're not alone in those feelings at all. And you're in a good place. You're in a great place here, a great community. Look around. I know we can't see each other, but you can see that there are a lot of people here: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. You're not alone. This is a community. We're going through this together. And then please do lean on all of our free resources. That's why it's there, to help kind of alleviate some of that stress and anxiety. So great to have you with us. All right. Your girlfriend is in the US, you're in Pakistan, she's planning to come to Pakistan. So when she comes, we will be doing your ceremony. Should we apply for a K1 or spouse visa? So that's a good question. And it's not a one size fits all as to what process that you should do. There's a lot of considerations in deciding between the fiance visa and the spouse visa. Um, and so the let's see, where do I want to begin? I think probably the best thing I can do is kind of give you some of the reasons that couples will choose one over the other. So for the fiance visa, typically couples are choosing that path if they want the faster option. And when I say fast, I mean immigration fast, not real world fast, because typically the fiance visa is faster than the spouse visa. That's why the fiance visa was, when the fiance visa was created, rather, it was created with the idea that it would be a faster option for couples to be together and then get married in the US. So typically couples are choosing that fiance visa path if they're wanting an option that is the fastest. It still does take around a year, but that's the number one reason that I have couples choose that. For couples who really need the immigrant beneficiary who's coming to the US to be able to work right away, or if there's need to travel outside of the United States right away, then couples will really look at the spouse visa, because the fiance visa is great. It gets you to the US, but you're going to have a period of time in which you can't work and that you can't travel internationally. And so you feel like you're in a bit of a limbo. And so if that's going to be a financial difficulty for you to not be able to work, if you need to be able to travel internationally, then the fiance visa is something that couples will stay away from and usually go with the spouse visa, knowing that it typically takes much longer to go through that process. I would say that you should speak with an immigration attorney before your girlfriend goes, because it sounds like you are doing a marriage ceremony. And there are some ceremonies that are just a religious ceremony. And I don't mean just, it's an important ceremony, but in the eyes of immigration, it may or may not be considered a binding marriage. And so you want to be very careful before you have ceremonies like that. First and foremost, understanding what is the path that you want to take. And then from there, deciding whether or not to have that ceremony. So if you haven't spoken with an immigration attorney, that would be a really important next step for you both to look at having an appointment with an immigration attorney. That's something that I'd be happy to speak with you both in private if you want to talk in more detail about the two paths and whether or not moving forward with the Nika ceremony is going to be the best idea for your situation, or if that's what you're wanting to do, then we can talk about what's the best path forward. So that was a long answer, but I think that's helpful information for a lot of people. All right. And good morning to you as well. I hope you're doing well. So your partner's slightly under the minimum income requirements. Do you think it's wiser to wait until he's found a full-time job and can meet the requirements? In some situations, that is what's best to do. However, income is the first way to qualify. And then if the person doesn't have enough income, then looking at having assets, using assets rather, a home, retirement account, savings. And then if assets aren't available, looking at having a joint sponsor is another great option. And so, wanting to get the process completed and started, it's a long process. You prioritizing doing that, and then looking at some of these other alternative options. And another thing to be aware of that I see a lot of couples want to meet this minimum income requirement, because legally you have to complete the process, and become so fixated on that piece and hold off on getting started with their immigration journey. And this affidavit of support, this financial requirement, typically doesn't come until later in the process. There are some cases where it's part of the very first step, but typically it doesn't come until later. So you can still get the process started and then work on having a plan for that affidavit of support later. So hopefully that's clear and makes sense. And also, I should mention, we do have a lot of resources on our resource page, and where I talk about the affidavit of support and using assets as well. So I'll be able to do a few more questions, and then I need to jet. Let's see. Okay, so you received a 221G for administrative process and your file is on hold. Okay, so if you received, I know you were asking about the National Visa Center, but if you went to an interview and received a 221G, then your file is actually not with the National Visa Center. It would be with the U.S. Embassy or consulate. And so if you've responded to that, I'm not sure if they gave you the 221G and then told you needed to file a waiver or requested additional documents. but we would want to follow up with the embassy or consulate. So, oops, Phil, yay! Greetings once again from Thailand. So great to see you here. So you're wanting to know if it's a problem to adjust status. Well, I'm not sure if you qualify because I don't know all of the details of your immigration history. I think you provided some details that you were married in your country before, and then you were married here in the U.S. So this would really need a consultation. I can, like I said, I can meet with you in private during a phone or Zoom call, and we can talk about whether or not adjustment of status is appropriate. I can give you some general information here about adjustment of status. I had a comment at the very beginning about, the unethical practice of advising individuals and couples to come on a tourist visa and get married. Somebody said that at the very beginning. I don't know if you are here and here for that, but part of adjustment of status is that you had to have already been in the US, typically on a student visa. Sometimes individuals may overstay a tourist visa, and then they meet someone and fall in love and get married, and then it can be possible at that point to change your status to a green card. But if you are outside of the US, you can't come to the US on a tourist visa with the intention of filing adjustment of status, because that's what they call circumventing immigration laws, or committing fraud or misrepresentation. So I don't know where you're at, or your immigration history and those details to be able to advise you. Adjustment of status could be a possibility, but there might be another option that's better for you and more in alignment with the laws. So that would really require a consultation. I'd be happy to speak with you in private. Okay. Chris. Oh, awesome. You were just saying awesome. I'm guessing maybe about The Office. I'm not sure when your comment came through. So there's so many videos saying joint mortgage, bank account, and bills, but he is in a situation and it's hard. So hopefully the baby's birth certificate is enough. Okay. Yeah. Yes. And that's pretty common. We have a lot of individuals, couples in this situation where you might be together, but you can't get bills in both names. And there are strategies that we use with our couples to help you still be able to have enough evidence, and then also be prepared for future steps. So maybe we will talk in the future. But sounds like you have a solid start. You're on the right path. Okay. So you're wanting to know if the affidavit of support is mandatory? Yes. The affidavit of support is mandatory if you're going through a process to receive a green card by marriage, and the fiance visa as well. So yes, it's required. Um, you're asking for a friend about a B1, B2 visa being canceled without prejudice. Does this affect your future spouse visa application in the future? So generally, having a tourist visa in the past, or having a tourist visa denied or canceled without prejudice, typically that's not going to negatively impact an immigration case. And immigration laws are complex, and I can't say that conclusively without knowing all of the details and the why of the visa cancellation and immigration history. So it's not a full stop, no, you can't apply, but it's a, hey, this is an important piece that we need to take into consideration and make a strategy for how we're going to respond. Of course, honestly, on any future applications, but it's not something where I would say, oh, that disqualifies a person completely, but it definitely can result in some additional steps or possible complications in the future. So definitely a consultation with an expert will help to clarify what the next best steps would be. Um, this is an interesting question. I had a question similar to this last week about marriage fraud. And so, have I ever advised a couple not to marry because of details of the relationship? So, I will never insert myself in a couple or an individual's life decision. So, I'm never going to tell someone not to get married or to get married. The conversations that I have with couples when I meet with them, we focus primarily on what their goals are, so I can give them legal advice that's in alignment with their future goals. So I've never I'm never going to tell someone you have to get married or don't get married. But I have had situations where, the relationship is very new. There's a lot of red flags. There seems to be uncertainty by both members of the couple, and there's just not a strong case there. And I will definitely have candid conversations with individuals about my concerns, and I do that with all of my clients about, hey, these are the red flags that immigration is going to see, or these are my concerns, and we talk through that and what that would look like. But yes, there are definitely situations where there have been presenting concerns, and we've addressed those and talked about when would be a better timeline to file, or what are things that the couple needs to work on. And in situations like that, typically through the questions I ask, couples will say, we actually, there's a lot of apprehension here and we're just really not ready. We're not ready to get engaged. We're not ready to get married. And so they usually come to that conclusion on their own. They work on nurturing their union, getting clear on what they want for the future. And then if that ends up being engagement or marriage in the future, we can help. So yeah, interesting question. I like that question. And I think it's important. It's really important because we want to make sure before we start a process that the couple is ready, ready to make that big life commitment and embark on an immigration journey. Yes. Okay. So Patricia, so you were answering the questions I was asking earlier about where your difficulties, where do your difficulties lie? Um, so you're not receiving family support, and it's hard to speak with your husband too because of connections issues where he lives now. So I highly recommend, you don't have to do this, but I highly recommend, if you don't already, to speak with a therapist. I think speaking with a therapist, sometimes there is a negative reaction or aversion to that. So hopefully you're open to that. Again, you don't have to do that, but I really encourage a lot of individuals and couples who are going through an immigration process to seek expert help in that realm. Therapy can be very cathartic and very helpful for your going through and navigating all the emotions that are going to arise on an immigration journey, especially if you don't have that family support. So I'm stepping outside of my lane of attorney hat and really encouraging you to seek that expertise in that other realm. So best of luck, though. I know it's definitely hard, especially when you don't have that support. All right. I'm going to do one more question, and I want to try to grab a question from someone who hasn't been able to ask a question yet. Okay. So your name is Monica. Your husband lives in the U.S. You met in 2019, and you got married via Utah in 2023. You filed the I-130. How long is the process, and what is the next steps? So, well, congratulations on your marriage. That's exciting, and I know that's also exciting that you have your petition filed. And I know waiting can be the hardest part. But after filing the petition, right now we're seeing it does take about 17 months for that very first step to be approved or decided. And then from there, your case moves on to the National Visa Center and then ultimately an interview at a U.S. embassy or consulate. And so I really encourage you to check out our free resource center as well. All right. So there's a lot of really great questions. I wasn't able to get to all of them, but we got through a lot here today. You're very welcome. And I hope what we went through was helpful to everyone. I will go through. Good. I'm glad. Yes. Take care of yourself. You're very welcome. I will go through the questions that I wasn't able to get to here today, and we can go over them on the next live, or I will be here again next week, Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. In the meantime, we do have, like I said, that free resource center. Ria put that link in the comments. The resource center is very robust, so please check that out. It does have answers to a lot of very common questions. But hopefully I will see you all again next week, Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you for those of you who are willing to leave reviews. Please do take care of yourselves and each other. The immigration process is stressful, but hang in there. You'll get to the finish line. I promise. All right, everyone. Take care. Have a good week. Bye.